Level Up is a regular podcast that brings you topics to help you perform at work and in life at your very highest level. Your host is Dan Chiodo, an executive coach, corporate trainer, and author. He is president of Impact Training and Executive Coaching. And now, here's Dan.
Thank you, Jesse. I appreciate that. It's so exciting. It is the end of the year. This episode was shot in December, but we're talking about the beginning of the year. And I find that time very exciting, a time when we can look at what we'll be doing in the year to come. But I want to give you some background for that. And I can't think of a better guest than the guest I have today. She's been with us before. She is very successful in the field of real estate, not just helping people find the homes of their dreams, but also talking to the staff, the real estate staff, about their dreams and what they want. So now she's moving on to the next chapter of her life, which is encouraging others to live an extraordinary life beyond fear, limiting beliefs, and comfort zones. She's a really curious person, and I am so glad about that because she's not afraid to take some risks, to jump out there and enjoy new experiences. Very creative in what she does. Since her last visit, when she was here, she has been featured in Woman's World, and it's all about health, and it's all about living right. And this one is all about Celery Juice Miracle. And it features not only her, but her mom too. So that's since the last time she's been here. But today we're going to talk about some things that really help you understand your life. So my guest today is Cindy Moore. And Cindy, being in real estate, I know you have all those little initials after a name of all the things that you studied, but I'm changing it, Cindy Moore TS. So do you know what that stands for?
I don't.
It stands for trendsetter.
Oh, trendsetter.
Yes.
I love it. I love it.
You are a trendsetter. So Cindy, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me. It's always a joy to be back.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you have a visual to show us. So why don't we jump right in? Tell us what that is and what it's all about.
This is a vision board. I make one of these every year in January, and I hang it in my creative studio or office, and I use it as motivation and also inspiration. It includes different things that are important in my life, goals that I have. You can see travel is on there, different words like live your best life, explore, make it memorable. These are things that are inspiring to me and remind me why I'm doing what I'm doing and remind me even of my purpose here. And one of the key elements is that it includes my word for the year, which is something that I use all year long as guidance as well.
Very good. Now, do you do a new one every year then?
Yes, every January I create a new one, and it's low tech. Those are just magazines cutouts that are glued on there. It's fun to look for the things that inspire me, and also to find the words and quotes. Like picture of health, or this one says, joy is the feeling that we have touched the hem of something far beyond ourselves. So I just look for things that when I look at my board, they resonate with me and create this powerful, high energy and just inspires me to keep doing what I'm doing.
I'll tell you what, from here, it's a work of art because it is so nicely done, so nicely squared off. There are all the pictures. And I have to tell you, when I talk to my clients about looking into next year, and we could do a vision board by writing down things that we want to do.
Yes.
That's really inspiring. That's really what a vision board should be. And
well, thank you. All
you have to do is, even in a doctor's office, you can just start cutting out some things.
Yes.
I didn't say that.
I'm sure they wouldn't mind.
but to make it right,
Yes.
So do you find that you talked about travel in there? Do you find that some of the places that you have pictures of that you have gone to visit?
Yes. I try to put places on there that I hope to visit or have visited. One of my favorite vision board stories along those lines is that one of my favorite authors is Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote Eat, Pray, Love. Read all of her books, and I really thought I would love to meet her, but she's never in the Joplin area. However, a couple of years ago on my vision board, I found a picture of her in the magazine, had her up on my board, found out a few months into the new year that she was going to be speaking in Wichita, Kansas, which is very doable from Joplin. And so I got to go, I bought tickets and got to go meet her and get her my book autographed. And she was right there on my vision board before that all came about. I think it helped to, part of this is that you put these intentions out into the universe and then you just wait and see what happens. Well, wait's not the right word. You can take steps toward that. But I had no idea that she was going to be in Wichita that year. But there she was for the first time ever on my vision board. And for the first time, I got to meet her and hear her speak.
That's great. I guess, too, you can take your vision board and do some positive affirmations about it and say things like, I will be going to Italy, or I will accomplish this goal, whatever it is.
Yes, you certainly can.
There's a story about Jim Carrey where he was at a point in life where he didn't have very much. And what he did was write a check for $8 million to himself. And they say that he carried that check around for years. And all of a sudden, he was discovered. He was in his first movie, and he was paid $8 million.
Amazing.
So just think about that. The things that you see yourself doing, and you put it out there in the universe, as you say, and let's watch it happen. That's good.
Yes.
Do you save your vision boards?
I do. I did not when I first began, but this is the 7th one. The other 6 are in my closet, and I get those out and look through them every once in a while and realize how many things that I placed on the vision board have come to pass. So I think they're an important tool. They're fun to make, for one thing, but I think they're an important tool to help you decide what's important and where you're headed. And, as you're looking through magazines, picking out pictures, you say, no, not that one. No, not that one. Yes, this one. And there's a reason why you're drawn to that one and why it goes on the board, so that you begin to identify what's important to you and what your desires are. And that's one of the powers of a vision board. And then just to have that hanging where you can see it every day and be reminded, this is what's important to me. This is who I am right now. This is like a photograph, really. It captures exactly where I am on my journey right now.
I like that. And I like the fact that you said that you picked the right one. One might not be quite right, and then you find the right one. And I think that's important too. It's kind of like people can have color coding done to know what colors they should be wearing in clothing. Yes. And when I had that done one time, the person said, you actually know that already. The things that you stay away from and you don't like the colors, they're usually the things that don't look the best on you. So on our vision board, to choose exactly what it should look like probably will get us there quicker.
Yes, I agree.
And tell me about some of the slogans or motivational things. Where do you find those, and what kinds of things do you put on there?
I find those in magazines as well. I look for things that either capture something that I'm very interested in, like travel, which is something I want to do more and more of, or I look for things that motivate me or encourage me. This one says, I'm going gray slowly, but surely my hair is what does that say? I'm going gray slowly, but surely, but my hair is so me. It's my choice. And that's, that was something that spoke to me. This one says, there are adventures to enjoy. Gardener, as much as you own an old house and a garden, it also owns you. So these are just things that resonate with me. What good shall I do this day? Anything that I look at and I think, yes, that's a little part of who I am. And then my word is always on there. I had a hard time finding enchantment, so I had to cut out the letters and spell it. But I really like the way that it turned out right here.
I love it. I love it. And the other thing about that is this will help guide us during the year.
Mm-hmm.
But do you find sometimes that there are other things that come about that you hadn't even thought of, and so you might follow that direction? Does that mean you'll change a picture on the board, or does the board stay pretty much the same for the year, even if things change?
I leave it the same for the year, except like when I went to see Liz Gilbert, I ended up putting my ticket. I ended up gluing it up near her picture on the board. So that was a reminder that this thing that I wanted to happen happened. And here's the proof that it did. So I don't normally change the board. I usually leave it for the whole year, but I do occasionally add to it if there's something that shows that the thing that I had hoped to accomplish that I did. So I will put that there because I do save the boards and I look at them later. So it becomes a good reminder that the things that I desired, they happened. The thoughts, the words, they became manifested in my life out here. The inner journey helped to birth the outer journey. So those are all good reminders for me.
Very nice. Now, how long does it take to do a vision board, and when do you start?
Usually I start in early January, and it can take, in the last few years, it's become a family project. My mother and my sister and I get together and we'll eat dinner together and then bring out the stack of magazines, glue sticks, and scissors. And we visit with each other and encourage each other and help each other find things that we're looking for. So when you do it that way, it usually takes us a couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. If I concentrate on one myself, it might take me 2 or 3 days.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. I like that. So this, if you do in January, that's the board for the year.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's something else that you've done, and that is a word for the year. So let's introduce the topic. Tell us how that came about. Where did you find that, and how long have you been doing it?
I've been choosing a word for the year about 15 years, and that really coincided with my entry into real estate. And it was a business goal at first. The first few words really had more to do with my desire to do well in real estate and to make a career of that. And then I realized after a few years, that it was really more about my personal life, because our careers and our work lives, they're a reflection of our personal life. And it shifted a little bit to be more about my dreams and a little bigger view than just my career. And so the words began to be more reflective of who I am. And then a few years past that, I began to realize that the words were choosing me rather than me choosing the words. And that's just one way that you can end up with a word for the year. But the words became a very important part of my year. It's a theme. It sets the tone for the year. And it turns out that it's a guidance and even a little bit of a heads up about what's to come in the year ahead. I began to realize how important the words were, rather than just me randomly selecting something, that there was a great deal of guidance included with choosing a word.
That's wonderful. Could you share a couple of words of the past?
Yes. I think the year that I first realized that the words were choosing me rather than me choosing the word was believe. And it came just after I had done a lot of inner work and had come to a point where I really accepted who I was, all of my gifts, all my quirks, all the little funny things about myself that I had rejected before. I'd done a great deal of inner work and come to a point where I just fully embraced who I was. And the word for the next year that arrived was believe. And it carried a great deal of significance for me about belief in myself, belief in my abilities, belief in who I was. And it just became a very important, that was a change up year with that word. And from that point on, the words I've had words like change. I've had words beyond, which is so significant that my blog carries a part of that name. And I realized that the words, if I make a list of them, they very accurately show the growth and the change that's going on in my life year by year. And there's a great deal of significance in those.
Very good. Very good. Well, I'm going to steal one of your words, beyond,
Yes.
to let our viewers know that beyond this part of the episode, we'll have the flip side of the episode, and Cindy is going to tell us her word of the year. So we have a message now from our sponsor, and we'll be right back after this. Thank you for coming here on the flip side of Level Up, the place to go when you want to grow. And today we have Cindy Moore, TS, trend setter. She is with us, and she is talking about a vision board, which you can see right there. And now we're moving on to the word for the year. This may be something that you've not tried before, but think about it. Think what it could do to be the umbrella over everything you do during the year. And so now I don't have a drum, so I can't do a drum roll, but now we're going to hear Cindy's word of the year for 2020. What is it?
My word for next year is curiosity. I'm very excited about that. Curiosity, I believe, if you follow it, opens many doors, takes you down paths that you might not have thought to go down before. And usually about this time of year is when I begin to receive the new word. And so I'm very excited about curiosity. It makes me think of the whole Alice in Wonderland story, and have no idea where it's all going to go. But I'll be following curiosity next year, and it will be my year of curiosity.
Very good. You know, when I think of curiosity and the way you have explained that, I think of all the people that come into our lives that if we would think about, why have I met them?
Mm-hmm.
What does their life look like? And just starting a conversation to be curious about that, or even experiences that you have or places that you go, being curious about it. That's good.
Yes, it changes. It changes us into the frame of mind of what if, or I wonder, instead of I don't like that, or I don't want to do that. It shifts us into, I believe, a different mindset and opens us up to possibilities. So I'm very excited about it.
Yes. You know, that what if, I believe there's a book that's called What If, and it's a great way to look at anything you look at and look at it in a new way by just saying, what if this were the case? Or what if this pen I'm holding did something else? You know, just to stretch your mind a little bit. That's good. So now, will you be reminding yourself of this word? In what ways will you see this word all throughout the year?
Well, I will be making a new vision board, so the word will go on there. But there's a couple of other components that go with that for me. And one of those is that I also choose a symbol to represent the year, and it always ties in with the word. For next year, the symbol is a key. I thought it might be the white rabbit from Alice in Wonderland, but it turns out that it's the key. And I believe because curiosity is the key that opens so many doors. So I see the significance of that. And then I will begin to see that symbol everywhere. When I do, it's a reminder of what my word is. It's a way of being encouraged to embrace curiosity. It's like a little joke between me and the divine, or me and the universe. Whenever that key or the word curiosity pops up, they're like little guideposts too, little signs along the way. When I see the key or I see the word curiosity, then I know I'm headed in the right direction. And then another fun part is that I pick a song And I'm still in the process. It's possible that my song is Upside Down from Jack Johnson. That one's popped up a couple of times. For me, choosing a word and a symbol and a song comes through repetition. When it begins to show up in my life over and over and over, it gets my attention and I start to think this might be meant for me. Other ways to choose a word is to go with what resonates with you, or to make a list and choose something from there, or to set a goal. But for me, it really, the word comes to me through synchronicity and through repetition. And that's how I know for sure it's meant for me, because it begins to just show up in odd ways. A stranger will begin to say the word, or I'll see it on a billboard, or I'll turn the radio on and there's a song and it's connected to that word. So that begins to happen over and over and over. And that's, once I realize that's my word, that's my symbol, it eases up a little bit. But this year, my word was enchantment and my symbol was the queen chess piece. And I'm still seeing that queen chess piece almost every day. It pops up somewhere.
That's beautiful. I like the fact that you add music to it, because music is very motivating and means something to all of us. So if you can add that component, that's going to remind you of that word. You mentioned synchronicity, and I want to tell a little story about that, because I think it supports what you're saying and really helped me during a year. I didn't have a word for the year, but if I had curiosity, this might have been it. Where one day I was at work in Minnesota and I had an employee situation I was dealing with, and it was really a sticky situation and I didn't see a way out. And for days I'd been thinking about what I was going to do with this situation. A friend of mine called me on a Friday during all of this thinking I was doing, and he said, let's go out to lunch. And I said, no. I have a big issue. I can't break. I've got to focus on this. And he said, well, you've got to have lunch. You have to eat. I said, no time. So he showed up at my door and drugged me out so that we could have lunch. And we both like Chinese food. So we went to a Chinese restaurant. And, all of a sudden, being with someone else, sharing with them, I was at least laughing a little bit, which I hadn't in days. And then came the fortune cookie. And I opened the fortune cookie, and it was the answer to my problem. I said, I can't believe this. I said, this is it. And I showed it to him, and he said, synchronicity. And then he told me about that book, Synchronicity, that these things happen in our lives, and it may be for a purpose. So to take curiosity, that is a beautiful word for the year. I think it's going to be great. You may have some people who steal that word.
That's okay. I don't mind that at all.
I'll bet if you take your word of the year and each week or each month you start listing the things that happen that tie into that, I'll bet you have a pretty long list.
Yes, and it helps that I blog, I write, so a lot of those stories end up in my blog, but that's true. You begin to see really how that theme just guides you rather than you doing something with it. It's almost like it's doing something with you, and growth is what the result is. I mean, it's for my growth and my benefit.
Well, I'd like to finish up our episode by having you talk a little bit about your blog, let our viewers know where they can find it, and let them know, give them a taste of what they'll find there.
Well, I'd be happy to. I actually write 2 blogs. The one is called Journey with Healthy Me, and it's a health-related blog that I began after I experienced remarkable health changes, all from simply changing my diet. And so that blog has recipes and tips, helps, things that will help you be the healthiest you at any age. So that's what that blog's about. And then Cindy Goes Beyond is the one that I've had for 6 years now. And that one was born from my year when beyond was my word. Really desired to go beyond comfort zone, beyond my limitations, beyond my old beliefs and my old habits, and live a more extraordinary life. And that blog is is about living a bigger life and seeing the things that go on in our lives and realizing that we're part of a much bigger story that's going on. And it shares personal stories and also occasionally a movie review or a book review or a story that is about someone or something that's significant. But its intention is really to help other people go beyond their fears, their limitations, their beliefs as well.
Beautiful. Thank you for telling us about that. And I certainly hope that you will come back again sometime, will you?
Oh, I would love to. You're always so fun to do a podcast with.
Yeah, I wanted to get that commitment, so we now have it on tape. You said
it's true.
So that's great.
True.
To our viewers, I'd like you to think about the new year. And you know what? If you're viewing this and it's not the new year, it's into the year, it really doesn't matter. It's still a time when you can make a change and maybe approach things in a different way. So think about Cindy's vision board and what she's done there, and how you can have a beautiful representation of what you want to achieve. And then think about a word for the year, what you might do with that, how you might live a little differently. And again, on Level Up, we want to get you to your next level. And here are 2 tools that could help you do that. We thank you for listening today and ask you to join our next episode of Level Up. Now let's go out and do something with this. Cheers.